celebrating 30 years of boxing. The following is a special presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
Lennox Lewis stands alone atop boxing's heavyweight division.
Lennox Lewis knocks out Mike Tyson.
So dominant that the thoroughly beaten Mike Tyson declined a preordained rematch. So dominant that no clear-cut #1 challenger exists. So dominant that any opponent hoping to beat Lewis would need to pull off the boxing upset of the year.
All them fighters that are out there right now are Class B. I'm Class A.
Enter fistic giant Vitali Klitschko. He of the 6'8" frame and sledgehammer right hand.
That's an awkward right hand of Vitali Klitschko.
Dismissed by critics as awkward and untested, Klitschko boasts 31 knockouts in 33 fights. His puncher's chance, improved by Lewis's advanced age, his full year of inactivity, his suspect chin, and the sudden adjustment to fighting Klitschko on less than 2 weeks' notice. So tonight, Vitali Klitschko puts his career on the line to ask a simple question. Is Lennox Lewis, having accomplished everything he hoped for, now on the downside of a great career? The answer comes tonight as 13 feet and 500 pounds of heavyweight power collide for the sport's biggest prize.
Nobody better leave their seats because it could all end like that.
Throughout 2003, HBO Sports is celebrating 30 years of boxing coverage, building legends one round at a time. And tonight live, heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis faces the towering Ukrainian Vitali Klitschko with the title at stake. We're at the Staples Center in Los Angeles for the first heavyweight fight of significance in this city in 30 years. In 1973, Muhammad Ali won a split decision rematch over Ken Norton, who earlier that year had upset Ali, breaking Muhammad's jaw in the process. But those Ali-Norton fights were not title bouts. In fact, this is the first heavyweight championship fight in LA since Floyd Patterson TKO'd Roy Harris in 1958. For Lewis and Klitschko, tonight's significant meeting was not expected until December. But when Lewis's scheduled opponent Kirk Johnson injured a chest muscle in training 2 weeks ago, an 11th-hour deal was negotiated for Vitali Klitschko to replace Johnson. Klitschko had been preparing to fight Cedric Boswell on the undercard tonight, an apparent tune-up before facing Lewis. Instead, on very short notice, Klitschko now moves up dramatically in class to face the heavyweight champion. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. As you may know, tonight's entire switch never would have happened if the original plan had played out. That called for this to be the date of the Lennox Lewis-Mike Tyson rematch. When Tyson declared himself unprepared to face Lewis again without additional tune-ups, he was then slated to fight on the undercard tonight in L.A. That also fell through, which is part of the reason tonight's fight is live on HBO and not pay-per-view. Meanwhile, Tyson apparently felt an obligation to fight someone on June 21st. So this morning in Brooklyn, he was arrested for slugging some guy who called him out in front of his hotel. Whether this counts as one of Tyson's tune-ups is unclear. Also unclear is just how good Vitali Klitschko is. His record is 32-1 with 31 knockouts, although the general quality of his competition has been questioned. Still, he's an intriguing figure. He and his younger brother Vladimir are both heavyweight contenders. He's an educated man, speaks 4 languages, and holds a PhD from the University of Kiev. And at nearly 6'8", if he wins tonight, he'd be the tallest heavyweight champion ever. Joining us now is 2-time heavyweight champ George Foreman. George, what is the likelihood of a Klitschko upset tonight?
I think it's big. Lennox Lewis, I think it's big because Lennox Lewis, he's been on top for a long time, but here's the MO. You can catch him cold, and when he's not ready, he can get out there and get caught on the chin with a right hand. This guy Klitschko, he's got the right hand. This is the chance of a lifetime if he's got that gleam in his eye.
Now, Lennox Lewis is a guy you've rated among the top 5 heavyweight champs ever. You've told me and others that even at your best, you don't know if you could have handled Lennox Lewis, and yet you think Klitschko has a genuine shot tonight.
Lennox Lewis is all of that, what I said. He's the best, but you know, he's close to being said was, W-A-S. Anyone that come in the ring with Lennox Lewis after he beat Mike Tyson last year, it would be a cinch to lose. But he's had time off. He's been a guest at different events, almost knighted of some sort. This guy's a spectacular fighter, but he's on the was. Klitschko, all he needs is that gleam, that hunger. He could be heavyweight champ of the world. He's big enough.
Well, we'll see. I'm actually surprised that Lewis is only a 4.5 to 1 favorite. And when we spoke with the champ yesterday, he was supremely and serenely confident.
Lennox, you haven't fought in just over a year since you knocked out Tyson. Is that any factor for you, that layoff?
If I was younger, it would be a big factor for me because I would be out partying and not behaving myself. But at this age, you know, it's given me a time to really relax myself, and I feel good.
I can hardly believe what I just saw. You have a bad hand, so...
Well, seeing him in the Chris Bird fight, and he was basically winning the fight, and he had about 2 more rounds to go, and he decided to quit. And that's why I question his heart, because of the fact that, you know, if that was me, I would have sucked it up for 2 rounds, and he didn't.
And Klitschko's trainer has said Klitschko's left hand is hurt, and he can't use it to the full extent.
He says he tore the rotator cuff in the 4th, so he fought 6 rounds in pretty severe pain and then just couldn't go on.
Gotti, great fighter, hurt him, broke his hand in the 4th round and continued the rest of the fight and won the fight. So that's just the difference between a pain threshold and, you know, who can take pain the most. And, you know, it doesn't matter. It didn't seem like he was in that much pain to me.
All right, so you've questioned his heart. What about his skill level?
You know, I'm a 5-dimensional fighter. I don't consider him a 5-dimensional fighter. There's certain things that I can do and he can't do, and I believe my skill levels are a lot more than his.
How do you imagine it'll feel to be looking up at an opponent? You're a big guy. He's bigger.
Yeah, but when he's on the canvas, he'll be looking up at me, and he'll realize how big I am.
So are you thinking you'll make very quick work of him? 2, 3 rounds?
Well, I'm not going to say that I'm going to make quick work of him. You know, when an opportunity presents itself, I'll definitely take advantage of it.
Is this potentially the first of a 2-part Lewis-Klitschko situation?
Well, I've always said 1 for breakfast, 1 for lunch. Somebody took my breakfast, so he's my lunch.
The new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
When Roy Jones Jr. beat John Ruiz, the immediate talk was, okay, who among the heavyweights can Roy Jones Jr. fight? Evander Holyfield, Chris Bird. All of us said it's out of the question for him to face Lennox Lewis. He's just too big and too skillful. But now it appears that that fight could very well happen.
Yeah, it could happen. You know, Roy Jones hasn't really said to me that, yeah, he wants to fight me. He's always said that he wants to fight Johnny Ruiz. Now he wants to fight Evander Holyfield. Makes no sense. Evander Holyfield's slow. He's an old man. You know, why take advantage of him? If he wants to be a true heavyweight, you know, might as well come to Lennox Lewis. Instead, you know, they call him the Superman, Roy Jones. Well, I've got some kryptonite for him. He has to realize that this is my weight class. So if he wants to test, I'll take the S off his chest.
Well, that fight is where the money is, because the public would be fascinated by it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, that's going to be the talks of all barbershops, all people at work. Everybody on the street will be talking about that fight.
Why do you think it is that you haven't been fully embraced by the American public? The theory is, at least one theory, Jamaican background, grew up in England, fought for Canada in the Olympics, and boxing is all about attaching yourself to somebody, some identification with somebody, and people can't figure out where to hook into you.
Well, my attachment is I'm a world champion, and I think the fact that I've been to all these countries and have ties to all these countries, that makes me a unique boxer. The fact that that's what makes me as good as I am today, because I could take a little from each place and put into one, and which makes the finished result, and that's me, the best.
Okay, George, Lennox Lewis obviously believes there is very little chance that he relinquishes his title tonight. But earlier this week, you were quoted as saying that if somehow Vitali Klitschko becomes the heavyweight champion, that will bring you at age 55 out of retirement. Were you joking?
No, not a joke at all. In January 10th, by the way, I'll be 55. The demographics, 55 through 65. Tired of waiting around. I get examined every year. Doctors looking for something. They're not going to find anything. You can still hope at 65, and I'm in that demographic just about. I can still do it. Sure, people say you can wake up in the morning, my wife tell me, watch the Dow Jones report early in the morning on CNN. I'm tired of that. I got things to do with my life. I've been to Alaska, I've caught the big fish. Now I want an adventure. I don't want to buy a new car, a new condominium. I want to fight.
You know, to be in good health at 55 is one thing. To be in fighting shape is another. Could you get a license? Could a fight be sanctioned?
I'd like to wake up in the morning just like everybody else and say, now I'm an old man, put me to bed. It's not happening. Any doctor would examine me just like he would any other guy, young 24-year-old guy. Stay away from the colon, you know.
Yeah, it's a legitimate observation right there. Okay, folks, if you have some opinion as to what the chance is that Klitschko might win, well, whatever your opinion is, log on to hbo.com/boxing and vote on who you think will win tonight's fight. Celebrities in attendance. Well, there's Vitali Klitschko in the blue with his younger brother, Vladimir. And Vladimir was thought by many to be the better of the two and on track for a shot himself as we look at David Duchovny of the X-Files in attendance. Gary Shandling, one of the great comic geniuses of our time. John Cusack, film star. Lionel Richie minus the Commodores. Billy Zane off the Titanic safely is here. Keyshawn Johnson, a favorite in these parts because he played at USC with the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Bucks, and a rousing cheer greeted Sylvester Stallone when he came in. I'm sure the same reception was afforded Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant. Jim?
Pretty much, Bob. Pretty much exactly the same reception, although, of course, Larry and I are a little taller. Meanwhile, after that thorough rundown on champion Lennox Lewis, let's turn our attention now to the challenger, Vitali Klitschko. And obviously, Larry, one of the most intriguing conversational elements of the fight is, as Bob alluded to, the fact that there was a universal expectation among boxing experts that younger, faster, seemingly better brother Vladimir would be the first to get a shot at Lennox Lewis. So what of the brothers Klitschko and their arrival to glamour in the sport?
Well, first, there is a hitch or a glitch in the saga of the brothers Klitschko, and that is to tell really which Klitschko is which.
In a book they co-authored, the 6'6", cuter, younger brother, Vladimir, who is 27, sits on the lap of his bigger big brother, Vitali, who is 31 and 6'8". Some American fans mistakenly believe that Lennox Lewis is fighting Vladimir despite his stunning upset by Corey Sanders in March. But even before that fight, the ring announcer in Germany, where the Klitschkos have fought most of their fights, got confused.
Dr. Vitali Klitschko! He called him by his brother's name.
Once upon a time in America, brother heavyweights were easy to separate. Max Baer was the fun-loving champion in the 30s. His giant brother Buddy was a contender who once knocked Joe Louis down. Before he became Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay's older brother Rudy often fought on his undercards. And the only brothers to win the heavyweight championship, Michael and the gap-toothed Leon Spinks, were easily identified. Although one dunce once got it wrong.
Thank you, Leon, and congratulations. Michael.
But the brothers Klitschko, who to Americans resemble the Russian villain Ivan Drago from the Rocky movies, come from a country where world-class fighters don't come from, Ukraine. And equally exotic, they both have PhDs in sports science and speak 4 languages. So which Klitschko is which?
I'm Vladimir Klitschko. I'm Vitali Klitschko. I'm not fighting Lennox Lewis. I am fighting Lennox Lewis.
And no, Lennox Lewis and Joe Louis aren't brothers. Now, there is another confusion, and this one centers on the Klitschko who is fighting tonight. Is he Vitali, or is he Vitali? Or, as Cole Porter famously wrote, you say tomato, I say tomato, you say potato, I say potato. Let's call the whole thing off. In Eastern Europe, he's known as Vitali. Here, he wants to be known as Vitali. And let's not call the whole thing off.
And Larry, Joe Louis and Lennox Lewis aren't brothers? There are millions of brothers out there saying, hey, wait a minute, anybody can see they're brothers.
Meanwhile, on a serious note, Vitali's arrival here fulfills a near-lifetime dream for him, of course. This is a guy who 10 years ago was cultivating careers in both boxing and kickboxing. I spoke to him earlier this week about the big chance and how he got it. When a torn chest muscle sidelined Kirk Johnson 2 weeks ago, the door opened for Vitali Klitschko to fight Lennox Lewis, and the Ukrainian heavyweight accepted the challenge without hesitation.
I prepared for the fight against Boswell very hard, like for World Championship. That's why I am in great form. That's why I accepted proposal from Lennox Lewis camp to fight him.
Do you think it will be to your advantage that he has only 2 weeks to prepare to fight you?
Yes.
Because?
Because all opponents underestimate me. Because my style look not so impressive. It's very effective.
Vitali Klitschko stunningly and mysteriously dropping out of a fight in which he appeared headed toward an easy victory.
He doesn't have the mentality of a champion.
Your loss to Chris Byrd, when you had to retire because of an injured shoulder, that was your lowest moment. Was it difficult to come back from that?
It was painful for me because I have a lot of critique. I don't have heart. I can't fight. I never will be big. I never will be world champion. I have dreams and I work really hard every sparring, every training to show for everybody it's not true.
Having grown up amid the austerity of the Soviet Union, and after building his professional career in newly reunited Germany, Vitali and his family have opted within the past year to live in a place that's a long way from Kiev and a long way from Hamburg, too. Beverly Hills, California.
When you will be best in the boxing, you have to come to the United States because United States maker of boxing. And when you're strongest one, you have to fight here in the United States.
Left behind, the comfort of the German cocoon within which the Klitschko brothers' fortune and fame soared to the heights of commercial impact.
Skalpell. Skalpell. Will Sie durchkommen, Dr. Klitschko?
Milchschnitte. Schmeckt leicht und man bleibt gut drauf.
But recent events prove it's what you do inside the ring, not outside, that matters most.
Another knockdown, and the referee stops the fight, and thus ends the Vladimir Klitschko Express.
A few months ago, you had to watch from the corner as your brother suffered his painful, shocking, violent loss to Corey Sanders. How did that make you feel?
It's very difficult to explain my emotion in this moment.
Did it hurt your heart?
I broke my heart because boxing is very hard sport. and I hope it never happens with Vladimir.
Both Vitali and Vladimir have suffered losses that raise questions about their toughness. Tonight, Vitali looks not only to dethrone the emperor of the heavyweight division, but also to restore the honor of the Klitschko family name.
We split our wins for both brothers, and we split our losses for both brothers too. And it's very important for me to make the fight against Lennox Lewis and beat him, because I will be fight not for me. As Lennox Lewis don't know, he fight against two brothers Klitschko.
Both Vitali Klitschko and brother Vladimir have emphatically said under no circumstances would they ever fight each other. Vitali Klitschko told us jokingly yesterday that part of his motivation tonight against Lennox Lewis is to help George Foreman fulfill his dream and bring him out of retirement and thereby please the boxing public. As for Lennox Lewis, he brings a record of 42-1 into tonight's fight. The losses to Oliver McCall and Asim Rahman, the draw with Evander Holyfield, all of them later avenged. Let's go down to ringside, the three gentlemen who will call the fight as always, Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and George Foreman. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Bob Costas. And now we begin what you'll recognize as our traditional sequence toward building up to the fight. Larry Merchant, everybody knows now that Vitali Klitschko is big enough and strong enough to challenge Lennox Lewis. Is he good enough?
And tough enough. He is a huge man, but he moves like a piece of construction equipment. And yet, in theory, he shouldn't be as effective as he has been in practice, where it counts. But the real issues are whether he can deal with his skill and with his will with the punching power of Lennox Lewis, and whether he's ready to be a serious challenger for the heavyweight championship of the world, because an aging champion doesn't take him seriously. We've seen that movie before, Jim.
And how old is Lewis as heavyweight champions go? Well, tonight, he's trying to become only the third heavyweight champion ever to successfully defend the title beyond the age of 37. The first was Jersey Joe Walcott back in the 50s. The second, in 1995, was a fellow named George Foreman. George, we heard you say to Bob Costas upstairs that Lennox Lewis can sometimes be asleep at the wheel. Are you saying to us that tonight, 54 weeks removed from his last fight, at age 37, with Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson now clearly in the rearview mirror and at the highest weight ever of his career, 256.5, that he is asleep at the wheel?
Age has got nothing to do with it. Let's make that plain and clear. Right. Age factor has nothing to do with it, but he has an MO. He's been caught cold before. When he takes a guy for granted, an ex-champion or a guy who figures, hey, he can't beat me, he took this fight on a 2 weeks notice, literally. You just don't do that as a heavyweight champion unless you're overconfident. Complacent, it may just happen.
All right, well, we'll see. Let's get ready now with the tail of the tape for Lennox Lewis and Vitali Klitschko. And this is, as you have read in your local papers, 13 feet, more than 500 pounds of heavyweights in the ring to contest the championship. Lewis, as we've mentioned, almost 38. At 6'5", he gives away maybe more than 2 inches in height to Vitali Klitschko. But in an anomaly, Lewis's reach is longer by 5 inches. Perhaps his long jab will be longer than Vitali's. Weight, as we've told you, the 256.5, the highest of Lewis's career, 3.5 pounds more than he weighed when he was knocked out by Asim Rahman in South Africa in April of 2001. Vitali is trim at 248. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Lennox Lewis-Vitali Klitschko fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, Lion Promotions is proud to present 12 rounds of boxing for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Brought to you in association with SEM, E-Commerce Technology, Prize Fight Promotions, Universum Box Promotions, Jacob Watch Company, Perfect 10 Magazine, and the King of Beers, Budweiser. Sanctioned by the WBC, the IBO, and the California State Athletic Commission Chairman Van Gordon Souter, Vice Chairman Sanford Michelman. The three judges at ringside scoring this contest on the 10-point system will be Dr. James Jenkin, Tom Kazmarek, and Pat Russell. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Dr. Lou Moret. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with gold letters and officially weighing 248 pounds. His professional record, 32 victories, including 31 knockouts, with only one defeat. Tonight, he comes to the ring prepared to step through the threshold of greatness. From Kiev, Ukraine, the fighter with a PhD, the #1 ranked heavyweight contender in the world, the former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Dr. Iron Fist, Vitali Klitschko. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white with red letters and officially weighing in at 256.5 pounds. In 1998, he captured Olympic gold, and now, as a professional, he has a record of 40 victories, including 31 knockouts against 2 defeats with 1 draw. And by way of rematch, he is one of the few fighters in boxing history to have defeated every opponent he has ever faced. From London, England, the linear, legitimate, universally recognized, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox.
Okay, gentlemen, I've given you instructions in the dressing room. I want a clean fight. Listen to my commands, shake hands, and await the bell. Good luck to both of you.
Now, Lennox Lewis' body is dry.
What about Vitali, George?
No wetter. Lennox Lewis, the champion who has the tendency to be cold as it is, his body is dry.
And Klitschko doesn't look all that much better warmed up than Lennox.
That's true.
I don't know what that will mean, but I do know that this fight as an event was upgraded from business class to first class when Klitschko became a part of it. Will it be upgraded as a fight?
He entered to the strains of the Eagles Hotel California. So will it be heaven or will it be hell for Vitali Klitschko? Most critics think it will be hell. And they look like John L. Sullivan and James J. Corbett before Lennox comes forward and lands the right hand.
Lennox Lewis is not an effective aggressor. He likes to catch you missing him and catch you with one. And he's not jumping around. He likes to jump in and out.
Although his trainer, Emmanuel Steward, insists, George Foreman, that when faced with taller fighters, he has gone forward and been the aggressor. That's one of the things Emmanuel expects tonight.
That's not his stuff. He likes to bounce. He just did a little bounce there. Both guys are getting low. No one is taking advantage of the height.
Break clean, get him going, let him go.
Both are fighters who tend to use their height to their advantage and fight behind the high guard. Vitali trying to land a looping right hand over the top. Lewis doesn't believe that Klitschko can improvise. Believes that Klitschko must be set up and in position to have a chance to land punches.
You see, when two tall guys get in the ring, it calls for a lot of clutching because nobody has room to move out of the way. One's moving there together.
Klitschko is being much more aggressive than experts thought he would be. It was thought that he would try to fight a more tactical fight.
Klitschko with the right, Lewis misses with the left. Klitschko pawing with his punches, but throwing punches as Lewis has not gotten his jab going early. Lennox Lewis throughout his career has been indomitable when throwing more than 30 jabs per round. He's not going to reach 30 jabs in this round unless he speeds up the pace.
George, why is Klitschko holding his left so low?
Well, Lennox Lewis is not standing so high, as you see. They both start squatting after a while. When a guy's hand are that high, you just got to bring him a little low.
Hard right hand by Klitschko, best punch of the round.
Lennox Lewis is doing the old catching. He's standing right in the middle of the ring and using his shoulders now to catch shots.
Now there's a good jab by Lewis to back Klitschko off. Another little right hand inside by Vitali. And again, Lewis jabs him backward.
That's the jab that you've been waiting on. Lennox Lewis is starting to get a little effective with.
And he's starting to get warmed up is what's really happening, George. Not so tentative anymore. Two good jabs by Lewis. Now there's a looping right hand that misses big. Lands to end the round as we go to Vitali Klitschko's corner, where trainer Fritz Fedunik will be speaking German. Our interpreter is Jens Halling.
You're too close to him. Don't get too close to him. Stay away. Your punches are really good. Move more. Don't get too close to him. You hit him really, really good a couple of times.
But you're putting a lot of pressure on him. He's not used to fight that much, okay? Take your time, baby. Take your time. Get that jab.
He's breathing heavy.
Yeah, he's not used to fighting this type of pressure. Just keep the pressure on him. He's in your battlefield. Just keep the jab is working good.
Did he hit him good? A looping left that didn't work, but a right that did.
That second right hand, probably the most effective punch of a round, in which, by CompuBox numbers, Klitschko threw 73 punches, landed 23. Lewis 18 out of 39, got his jab going late in the round, as you saw. And now Lewis begins to jab Klitschko backward again.
Klitschko has got to get back and just counter that jab one time.
Hard right hand landed by Klitschko. Lewis holds on.
Just counter that left jab, because Lewis is throwing it out there, but he's dropping it low. Make him afraid to throw it if you're Klitschko. Make him afraid of it.
This is a far cry from the Lennox Lewis who did a paint job on Mike Tyson in Memphis last year. He doesn't yet look sharp as he did in that fight.
Well, he's got a different
left hand lands for Klitschko. Lewis momentarily stunned by the little left.
I think that Lewis is quite surprised at the aggression of Klitschko.
And Klitschko trying to launch the right hand again. This time Lewis partially blocks it.
Lewis just can't seem to wake up. You come in the ring dry. You catch a lot of shots before you can wake up. But this Klitschko guy, the fight is his. All he has to do is reach out and get it.
With awkward short arm shots, he's beating Lewis to the punch. He rips him again with the right hand. Lewis momentarily wobbles. And now Lewis is still wobbly as Vitali goes after him.
He landed a really stiff, straight right hand that wobbled Lewis.
Maybe Lewis knows what he's in with now, but it may be too late. Combinations for an increasingly confident Vitali Klitschko. Straight right hand again.
Now this is what a fight could tell off on Klitschko, because that's a big heavy man he's pushing around. You throw those kind of heavy shots and you get tired yourself.
Big left hand by Klitschko. Lewis wobbling again. Suddenly it looks as though Lennox may have made a fateful decision in choosing to take this fight with only 2 weeks' notice. Hard left hand by Lewis stops Klitschko in his tracks. That changes the flow. can make it out of this round. Klitschko trying to land that right hand one more time. Lewis ducking and stumbling. They trade big right hands. Lewis gets the worst of it.
This is Gary Ward on the highest level on the scale.
Now, all of this clutching and holding is going to have an effect on Klitschko. That man is heavy, Lennox Lewis.
And Lennox Lewis's left eye is beginning to swell, and there may be blood under the eye. Vitali Klitschko is roughing Lennox Lewis up as the second round begins to come down the stretch.
There's a big welt over the eyes of Lewis, who staggers back to the corner.
He's winning the fight. You've got to take it to him now, okay? You've got to experience in these big fights. You're getting hit sitting out here trying to time him. Take it to him now. The left hook is working good. Just take it to him, and when you get through with every punch, push at him. You understand? You
have to box faster. You almost got him. You did it very, very well. You almost got him.
Here's the big punch that changed that round. A straight right that got under the left of Lewis, it seemed. Lennox Lewis said that he didn't see any skill level in Klitschko. He's seeing something now.
Lennox Lewis walking unevenly to the middle of the ring as he goes after Klitschko, just as Emmanuel Steward told him to do. Using the rough house tactics that we might have expected him to use.
Someone is bleeding pretty good there.
Lennox Lewis under the left eye, and now Vitali bleeding by the left eye as well. And Vitali's cut is over the eye. Triple jab by Klitschko and a right hand to follow. Lewis can't stop him. Big right hand by Lewis.
There has never been a heavyweight championship between big men with this kind of intense action.
Big left hook by Lewis. And another. Doesn't throw it all that often. Landed both of those.
Boy, that cut is bad. That cut is bad. Klitschko is hurt.
And he lands a huge right hand on Lewis.
If he can just continue, he can win it.
Long way to go in round three. Both
right hand.
have been hurt a lot. Left hook by Klitschko. Lewis again with a left hook over the top. Now he begins to jab away at Klitschko's badly damaged eye. Swinging right hand. It's just a Pier 6 brawl in there, guys.
Now, who do you have in your corner to work on your eye? He can win this if he doesn't stop by the eyes. Too much blood coming out of the eye.
So far, Lewis has yet to land his big right hand. When will it come? Will it come?
I think Lewis has taken the hardest shot.
Big jab forces Vitali back. And now a hard right hand by Klitschko stops Lewis's rush. But Lennox Lewis has ended the fight now and much steadier on his feet than in the first two rounds.
It's that blood. He see the blood, and he's not going to be deterred now. Once you see an eye like that.
He got the two best cut men in the sport in the eyes of many here. Joe Souza will be working on Vitali Klitschko. He has saved Arturo Gatti's career several times. Al Gavin will be working on Lennox Lewis.
Lewis, if you ask me, he's just not in shape.
No. Clean.
He entered the fight not in good shape.
10 seconds, guys.
So 256 meant what it sounded like. A complacent Lennox Lewis once again, but fighting his way into the fight. And Vitali Klitschko's left eye is ripped up.
we're calling timeout to look at the cut.
Can you go forward with that? Can you
No
with that?
way.
We have more time. We call timeout.
Ring doctor in Vitali's corner is Paul Wallace. That's a horrid gash.
Looks like they've controlled that.
There, I'll keep watching it. Okay? Time in. Hinterhand und weggehen, nicht stehen bleiben. Geht zur Seite. You have like 15 more seconds. Wieder rein in diese Runde. Das ist it. Huh? Punch. I said punch during the fight. Mal trinken.
Let's see if we can catch the punch. Right there. Right there. You saw the punch that started the blood flowing. If this is an epilogue
Not too much, not too much.
to Lennox Lewis's career, it is some epilogue.
Round 4 begins. All-out war. Harold Letterman, how do you have it so far? Don't take long, Harold.
Okay, Jim, 2-1, 29-28. Vitali Klitschko. I gave Vitali the first 2. Lennox Lewis definitely the third with the good right hands.
They fall down together. Referee Lou Filippo is not going to rule this a knockdown.
That's that heavy weight. Lennox Lewis, you keep leaning on you, it's just going to drop you down to the floor.
Well, he's only 8 pounds more than this guy.
Lewis trying to get in another right hand on Vitali's badly damaged eye. The Lewis comeback in round 3 was fueled by his landing 17 out of 28 jabs. Vitali misses with the right hand. Lewis barging forward with the jab. Telephone pole.
All Lennox Lewis have to do now is stay on the right side. Klitschko can't see him out of that eye, the left eye, I'm sorry. Stay on the left eye. He can't even see over on that side.
And Lewis jabbing the eye, jabbing the eye. Beginning to regain some of his technical form. Both fighters very tired already. Lewis breathing with his mouth open.
Big men have a difficulty fighting at this pace.
I'm sorry, but the corner's got to take a good look at this guy's eye. I know it's a world heavyweight title match and all that, but a man has got to see for the rest of his life as well.
Are you surprised they didn't stop it, George?
I'm very surprised.
I'm not surprised at all in a heavyweight championship fight. I think Klitschko is determined to redeem the Klitschko name in terms of his courage and his will.
One shot, he can do it too. One right hand.
Well, I'll tell you what, win or lose, I don't think anybody's going to say he's heartless again.
No, he's got heart. He's not even asking for pity. It's a long ways up there for Lennox Lewis trying to throw that right hand.
Hard right hand landed for Klitschko. Lewis blocking that right hand. Vitali still getting off 4 punches. And Lennox. Lewis taking advantage of the clinch to pound Vitali to the belly. Sloppy left hook by Lewis. In close, he brings the right hand over the top and hits the cut again. Left hand right onto the damaged eye by Lewis.
10 seconds, gentlemen. Break.
Round 4 coming to a close.
Lewis appears to be really tired. We've never seen this Lennox Lewis before.
All right, you're coming on good now. He still got that round, but you're coming on good. This man is getting tired. One thing, you're pushing him all the time now. Keep pushing your weight on him all while you're inside the clinch. The left hook, if you ever catch him with the left hook, he's going to be going down.
Linke Hand schnell boxen, das ist wichtig.
Don't stand still so much. You have to move more. Use your left hand more. More power in your left hand. And move quicker. Let me have a look at your eye. Avoid his right hand. And then you use your left hand very quick.
And for the first time between rounds, a look in the eyes of Vitali Klitschko that looked something like discouragement. Surely he knows the danger he's in with his eye that badly cut. But in the fourth round, Klitschko got off 66 punches to only 27 for Lewis.
Boy, that is one small referee in there, I tell you.
Let him go. Stop, stop, stop. Guys,
Klitschko has done an excellent job of staying away from that big overhand right of Lewis, but he's now being hit with some uppercuts inside.
He's not afraid of Lennox Lewis. Every time the Lennox Lewis hit him with something, he hits him back.
Lewis. You heard Emmanuel Steward saying that the left hook could be the punch that would put Vitali away, and Lennox just landed a monster. But Vitali comes back with his jab. Right hand staggers Klitschko momentarily. And good professional work by Lewis against the ribcage as Vitali takes it, takes it, takes it, takes it, and referee Lou Moret just looks on.
I don't know how the referee can let that holding and hitting go on.
One punch, one hand is open, and you're allowed to do that, George.
You cannot hold and hit. If one guy's holding you, they have to break it.
Lewis trying to land a haymaker. Vitali lands another right hand across the top. And pops Lewis twice with the jab. The difference in energy level still significantly in favor of Vitali Klitschko, but his eye begins to drain blood again.
Lewis is there for him. All he has to do is just take it.
Lewis leaning against the ropes as though he's all done in. Klitschko didn't bite.
Didn't bite at all. Lennox Lewis is ready to be taken. Klitschko has got to suck it up and become heavyweight champ of the world.
The conditions for an upset were obvious to everybody. Nobody knew whether Vitali Klitschko had the stuff to pull it off.
He can still do it. One good right hand and Lennox Lewis is on the canvas.
Well, Vitali's certainly ahead on points, and the way he's throwing punches, he might stay that way. But can he finish the fight with that eye? Hard to imagine.
Neither one looks like they could finish the fight, Jim.
No, Lewis doesn't look like he's going to make it to the finish line just on sheer physical energy. But Lewis beginning to sharpen up his punches and landing at a higher and higher rate.
Can't do it with the overhand rights tonight. Neither guy can do it with overhand right. They got to come straight down the middle with straight right hand.
Well, you got to be sharper than this to be good with the right hand. Lennox is just winging, looping haymakers. Crowd getting their money's worth.
Let me see your eye. Clean that up. Deep breath. Give him some water.
It's not bleeding there, bad. Rechte Overzang, wenn kommt.
You need a right uppercut if he's coming at you.
Eisen hochheben.
Give him a little iron. Clean that up for me. Breathe deep. Lean back. Give me some ice.
Виталий, спокойно, руки на место. Пробуй. Левый прямой, правый прямой. Lewis sboku, prawy prямой.
Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Sehr schnell, Vitali. Geh weg und dann hau die rechte mit. Aber rüberlegen.
With each passing round, the chance increases that Vitali Klitschko will see his bid for the heavyweight championship end on that bad left eye cut while he's winning the fight on points.
Lennox Lewis is trying to do it all with one big right hand. His corner told him, throw the left hook. Just throw the right hand and come back with the hook.
Between rounds, hard right hand by Vitali Klitschko. Between rounds, every time the doctor goes into Vitali's corner, they're pausing the clock. So as long as a minute and a half has been going by between rounds, and that's got to be a help to Lewis, as exhausted as he looks at the end of these rounds.
Lennox Lewis is so tired that if Klitschko just hit him with a combination, he'll go down.
Lewis flagrantly underconditioned for the fight, or so it would appear. And Vitali trying to take advantage through a blinded left eye. Oh, what an uppercut. Vicious uppercut by Lewis.
Klitschko holds on.
He can no longer see. He's fighting on pure heart, Klitschko is now.
Hey, guess what, guys? He can take a punch, too.
And he's got heart.
That was the kind of uppercut with which Lennox Lewis finished Michael Grant in Madison Square Garden.
And he gets one back.
Vitali with an uppercut of his own.
Learning on the job.
Lewis jabs him away. Good left hook by Lewis. Solid blow. Lewis exhausted again. But strong enough to fend Vitali off inside.
Lewis just has no respect for the power. Although the guy's got hitting him hard, he has no respect.
He ought to have respect. He was wobbly in round 2.
But he's got no respect. He hasn't decided, I'm going to duck and bounce and stay out of the way of harm.
Stop.
The belief of Lewis and his trainer Emmanuel Steward is that Klitschko has never fought at a pace this feverish and that he can't go the distance.
Oh boy, it wasn't for that eye.
It's Lewis who's having trouble with the pace.
That's right.
Oh, I can remember when 10 years ago when Evander Holyfield had the same feeling about Riddick Bowe and he wound up losing.
It's all Lennox Lewis can do to stand up. Not because of Vitali Klitschko's punches, but because of his own exhaustion. A few program reminders. This Tuesday, it's a new edition of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Among the stories, a saga. 1 year after Ted Williams' death, the controversy surrounding the freezing of his body continues. Each Friday night, look for On the Record with Bob Costas. Bob's guests on this week's show include 300-game winner Roger Clemens and Arnold Schwarzenegger. July 12, World Championship Boxing returns with a rematch between welterweight champion Ricardo Mayorga and the man he unseated, Vernon Forrest. Also that night, Zab Judah faces DeMarcus Corley. Chop, chop. And they're stopping the fight. They're stopping the fight as we get out of this promo to tell you that the fight has been stopped because of the damage to Vitali Klitschko's eye. And Lennox Lewis, in spite of himself, has a successful defense of his heavyweight title.
And you know I'm happy because this guy showed he's got heart, he's tough, he can come back. But you blow your eye, that's the end of everything. That was a long awaited. They should have done that a little earlier.
Klitschko is very upset that they've stopped the fight. Yelling no, no, no. He didn't want the fight stopped. Who stopped the fight? Was it the commission or was it his corner? Harold Letterman.
Okay, Larry. Dr. Paul Wallace, the chief physician here in California, looked at the cut, went to referee Lou Moret in the middle of the ring, and advised Lou to stop the fight. Lou Moret waved his arms, and it was all over. So it was referee Lou Moret stopping the fight on the advice of Dr. Paul Wallace.
And Larry,
it's not one cut, it was two cuts. There are two cuts under that eye.
Larry, to use one of your phrases from a past fight,
this was not. You know, it's everyone, so I am good prepared for this fight. I take everyone jab. I punch him with everyone jab.
How were you able to avoid his right hand? Could you see it that easily?
He never one time punched me very hard with right hand, because I saw every punch. He's a good fighter. He make great fights. I know in this fight when doctor don't stop, I win this fight. I win this fight by point, you know. You can see my fight record. I can knock in first round. I can fight this last round and knock him in 11 or 12 rounds. I want rematch when doctor stops the fight, I won't fight again. I show for everybody I can be Lewis.
All right, let's take a look at what happened when your eye was cut, and you describe what you see for us, Vitali. Oh, this is when you're in the corner and it's over. Were you shocked?
No. I feel when Dr. Tell stopped, it was a big surprise for me. The question is why?
All right. Do you think, Vitali, that you redeemed the reputation of the Klitschkos by fighting so valiantly with so much courage?
Hast du den Ruf der Klitschkos wiederhergestellt, dass du so hart hier gefightet hast?
I can fight. I fight every fight very hard. I have good opponents. It's just one unlucky fight when I tore my ligament in the shoulder. I can see Chris Bird. I won every 9 rounds by point. I lost just 1 round against Chris Bird. I stopped the fight because I can fight. It was just unlucky fight for me. You know, I am so disappointed. I'm destroyed with this decision because I prepared me for this fight so long time. I wait 1 year the chance to fight world championship. I want to be world champion. It happens. It's not a big problem. I can see with left eyes.
I think many of us would like to see a rematch. Thank you for such a great fight, and I think you must have certainly been heartened by the response of the crowd here at the end of the fight.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for audience here in the Staples Center because everybody support me in this fight, and I want rematch. I want rematch, and Lewis, I beat him. I know that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for a great fight again. Jim?
All right, Larry Merchant. Well, George Foreman, you said that if Vitali won the fight, you wanted to come out of retirement and fight him. So
that should be a rematch. No doubt in my mind. If the fight had gone on for 12 rounds, he would have gotten a decision. If it had not been for the cut, he could have won that boxing match.
It's going to take a while for that eye to heal sufficient for a rematch to take place.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, but he deserves a rematch. And I'm telling you, he was ahead on points, and he could have won that fight had not been for the cut.
What if Lennox Lewis turns his attention now toward the possible Roy Jones fight for big money that he's been talking about? After tonight, I can hear a lot of people thinking, well, Jones would win that fight.
If Jones catches him in the kind of condition he was in tonight, he's a super heavyweight champ of the world, no doubt about it.
I got a hunch he'd train a little harder for Roy Jones.
Yeah, Lewis comes back in better shape each time.
You want to fight Lennox?
No.
Even now. All right, thank you, George. Larry Merchant, you heard the crowd. You saw the response of so many around the ring. Again, to reiterate what we talked about right after the fight. Lewis may go home with the W on the record, but Klitschko won the event.
Yeah, he did. The drama was his. I'm not sure whether my ancestors in the Ukraine are spinning or dancing in their graves after a fight like that. Who would have thought we would have seen a heavyweight, a super heavyweight fight like the fight we saw a few weeks ago between Gatti and Ward. The theater of the unexpected, the loser being cheered, the winner being booed. Let's do it again.
Well, you know, George Foreman says, yes, that obviously should be a rematch. Sounds like you're suggesting it should be a rematch, too, but it's going to take a long time for Klitschko's eye to heal. Isn't it possible that Lewis will look for other business?
It's possible, but this is the one that's out there. I don't know what's on Roy Jones's mind, but I think this now becomes a big pay-per-view event.
Yep.
I think this is what the fans want to see. We've never seen two big guys like this go at it the way these two guys did, and that's what the fans love.
And if little brother Vladimir can get his career rehabilitated after the shocking loss to Corey Sanders, then he will figure in the picture too. Because, as Larry Merchant said earlier, just as Vitali produced his own reputation with his valiant performance tonight, surely too he has saved and readjusted the honor of the family. The Klitschkos live. Bob Costas.
And thanks very much. They certainly do. Our thanks to you and George Foreman and Larry Merchant. Interesting scene in the ring immediately afterwards as Lennox Lewis had little more success controlling the microphone with Larry Merchant than he did controlling the fight against Vitali Klitschko. And while Vitali Klitschko's left eye may have been nearly closed, he opened thousands, if not millions, of eyes tonight. And as the trio downstairs said, it would appear fairly logical that the overwhelming consensus, provided that Vitali Klitschko's eye heals in time, the overwhelming consensus among boxing fans would seem to be that they'd like to see this rematch next, and it becomes a very, very marketable fight. We got a whole lot more than most of us expected to see when we came into the Staples Center tonight. And now as we wrap up, a reminder to stay tuned for some upcoming HBO programs.